What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is your boy Marlon. We are back at it again. Sorry for the stream shutting down earlier. Was having a little bit of issues here, but we're back. Hopefully everybody's doing great. You enjoyed your Thanksgiving. You enjoyed your holidays so far. And we have to talk about what's going on right now. And obviously, I'm pretty sure you know the constant back and forth between Sony and Microsoft with this ABK deal is just getting out of hand. I hear a lot of people saying, well, the only way that Microsoft could be a true competitor to Sony is Microsoft buying their way, right? Buying their way to victory. And on the other hand, with Sony right now, like Sony cannot do what Nintendo is doing, right? They can't put up the numbers. Their first party titles cannot put up the numbers that Nintendo is putting up. So Sony knows that, and that's why they need third party. That's why they need the second party stuff, right? Like they need as much of third party and second party stuff. They need as much, other games in their catalog of flow of things in order to see things go through the way they want it to go through, and so that they can stay in business, at least the PlayStation segment of it. And it's sad because now, as PlayStation fans, as gamers, we're suffering because on the Xbox side of things, like there's no games to play, right? Like there's no big AAA games to play. And we're waiting on the big AAA games. We're waiting on the Forza, and we're waiting on Fable, and we're waiting on State of Decay 3, and we're waiting on Starfield, and we're waiting on all these games to come out. But we're sitting here like, okay, we've been hearing that since the beginning of the generation, right? The beginning of the generation, we've been hearing, wait until this time. Wait until this time. And now this deal, I don't know, it's like a big stone. Like it's just like a big boulder stone that's just in the way. And I'm like, man, can we get this stone out the way so that we can get back to what we do best, right? Can we just get back to just the excitement for these upcoming games? It's like, there's literally no excitement at all for these upcoming games. Like, it's just, yeah, we know Spider-Man 2 is coming, but we haven't seen a thing on Spider-Man 2 in a minute, right? So it's like, okay, and we know Final Fantasy, 16 is coming. We know Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is coming. We know that Forspoken is coming. We know about all the obvious things, but we don't, that's as far as it goes. We don't really know anything else. And why is this? Because of the ABK deal. Because Sony has to walk on eggshells. Microsoft has to walk on eggshells. Like, yeah, these two companies, man, this is crazy right now because Microsoft wants to tear Sony apart. Sony wants to tear Microsoft apart. Like, it's just, it's crazy, right? The battle is like, this is about to be a war that we don't want to see, or we don't want to see this war goes through. Like, we don't want these companies to be clashing like that. You know what I mean? Because then it's like, okay, we know that Microsoft is trying to hurt Sony right now with this ABK deal, right? We know that. Because Sony is like, we need Call of Duty. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for anything else. All we're asking for is Call of Duty. One game we're asking for, right? All the other Activision catalogs of games, Sony can care less about those games, right? I mean, they put numbers up here and there, but ain't no big numbers like Call of Duty. That's all Sony cares about right now is Call of Duty. And it's having a negative implementation on PlayStation fans because it's like, instead of us focusing on up and coming stuff, and even though Sony has been the greatest as far as this entire generation is concerned, even though they've been more like aggressive and more vocal and showing off more games and such, it's still not enough for PlayStation fans. Like, okay, where is the showcase? Where is the showcase? This is a whole entire calendar year and no showcase. Have we gotten state of plays? Yes, we have gotten state of plays. And hey, you know what? Thanksgiving just passed. Hey, we need to be thankful for that. But at the same time, a state of play does not have a major impact like a showcase does, right? For PlayStation fans. right? The people who are invested into a PlayStation 5 and really want to see those built from the ground up games for PlayStation 5. Does that make sense? Right? That's the whole point of a PS5 showcase, to see PS5 games, to see games that are built from the ground up for PlayStation 5. Right? And because of that, Sony don't really want to show off any more new partnerships or any more of their exclusive games because of this freaking ABK deal. Because it's just not going to look good in the eyes of regulators. So what do? We have to suffer. We have to sit here and wait. This constant back and forth, like Microsoft trying to play the good guy. Sony is trying to play, I don't know, like it's it's kind of hard to really point a finger. It's like Sony playing weak, Sony playing hypocritical. People are saying Sony doing this, Sony doing that. Regardless of the fact, like, Sony seems like the underdog here next to Microsoft because Microsoft got the power. They got the money, right? So they can buy whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. Whereas with Sony, they can't do the same. A lot of the studios that Sony has bought over the years, and I see people saying, well, Sony did the same thing, not on the magnitude of Microsoft. Microsoft going around buying up big publishers. You know what I mean? Like, they bought Bungie, yes, but Bungie is not on the scale of Bethesda as far as size. Bungie is not on the scale of Activision as far as size. There is a difference, right? And at the same time, Bungie still got their freedom to do whatever they want to do, right? So I see people pinpointing, oh, well, wait, they bought Bungie. Oh, well, they bought Insomniac. Oh, wait, hold on. They bought Naughty Dog. That was years ago, light years ago. And they built them and shaped them and mold them into the studios that they are today. So don't sit there and point a finger at Sony buying studios from light years ago, from before Microsoft even... Listen, man, listen. This whole thing, bro, it's like this constant back and forth. And so I really wanted to talk about this showcase because I don't know if you guys know, but this deal apparently is going to get dragged out until June of next year. June of next year is when they can finally make a decision on this deal. June of next year. So you're telling me, are you seriously telling me that, well, no PS5 showcase until June next year? Because Sony has to be careful on what they show? What? This is insane. Right? Because, oh, no, wait. No, God of War is supposed to hold us over. A lot of people have already finished God of War, done with God of War, ready for the next game. I'm just going to be real with you, right? We know how people are. A lot of people, I'm on my second playthrough of God of War right now because I'm trying to 100% the game. But God of War is supposed to hold us over until we get the next PS5 showcase, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? But it seems as though that's not gonna be the case. Because a lot of people have already said, oh, well, I played the game twice already. I've already finished the game. I've already platinumed the game. I've already 100% the game. So there's really nothing else for me to do here with God of War. So I'm ready for the next thing, right? I want to see Spider-Man 2. And for those of you who are thinking that, oh, we're just going to be blown away at the Game Awards and Sony's going to come out showing off Spider-Man 2 and Death Stranding 2 and Kojima's going to show the Xbox game that he's working on, think again. Because this ABK deal is like, the regulators are watching. The regulators are looking out like, oh, okay, Microsoft, you're trying to play the good guy. Let's see what you're going to do. Oh, what? Wait a minute. You showing off this Hideo Kojima exclusive game, the Xbox? Hold on. Time out. And then here comes Sony showing off Spider-Man 2, showing off all these, time exclusivity games, in their PS5 showcase. Wait a minute, Sony. Wait a minute. Wait a minute here. What the heck is going on here? So it's like, what do you do? What do you do? When does it stop? When does it end? And it's like, we just have to wait. We have to play the waiting game, right? We have to play the waiting game because now it's in the hands of the regulators, right? It's just like, as far as I'm hearing, oh, this deal is going to be blocked, but Activision is coming out saying, no, we're going to fight. We're going to fight with Microsoft because we want this deal to go through. Now, let me just say this, because this is kind of off the cuff. I'm not doing any timestamps today, man. I just got over a nasty cold and stuff like that. But let's just talk. Just say this deal goes through. Okay. When this deal goes through, this is going to have a negative impact on Sony. A big negative impact on Sony themselves. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Are they going to just keep doing what they always been doing? Or they're going to buy another publisher? Right? But then you ask yourselves, okay, well, they can go ahead and buy EA. Is EA going to be enough? I'm just saying, hypothetically, if they have that cash on hand to buy EA, right? Is EA going to be enough to go up against Microsoft with all the Activision games, Call of Duty, and Bethesda, and all the studios that they have? Is that enough for Sony? You got to ask yourself, is that enough for Sony? Is EA enough? If I'm just saying, if they're backed in the corner, what do they do? Do they keep on doing the same thing that they've always been doing, or they pivot and buy a publisher as well? But you cannot play the buy-in game with Microsoft. Remember, Microsoft said that it's not over yet. It's not over yet, right? We're still going to buy more studios. We're still going to buy more publishers. Same thing with Sony. Sony said that too at the beginning of this year. You guys remember that. Both companies saying it's not over yet. We're going to buy more stuff. We're going to buy more publishers. But I'm sick and tired of the buying the publisher stuff. Like, it's just like, can we do something else? Can we keep what we have and just compete that way versus doing the buying game? Because the buying game, you can only do the buying game for so long until you hit that 40% threshold or that 50% threshold to where you hit that brick wall of monopoly and you realize that, oh, well, dang, I don't have enough insurance to cover all this. And see, Sony's biggest thing was at the beginning of this year, man, these games cost a lot of money, right? That was a big risk for Sony to come out first and say, we're charging $70 for all of our games. Regardless if people like it, yes or no, these games cost a lot of money. So what do we do? What do we do? We have to charge $10 more, whether we like it, yes or no. I was one of the ones that was saying that, man, this is probably going to hurt Sony because everybody was against the $70 games in the very beginning. Everybody was justifying the $10, upgrade fee for these next generation games. And now Sony is kind of almost out of the clear with that situation. Now it's kind of like, okay, we need Call of Duty. What are we going to do? And it's like, if they don't get Call of Duty, then what are they going to do? Right? Because Sony has put themselves down in these letters to the CMA. Sony has put themselves down, making it seem like they won't survive without Call of Duty. Because of one game, we're talking about PlayStation here, right? That's been number one since PS1. We're talking about the market leader, Sony, basically saying that, well, without Call of Duty, man, there might not be no PlayStation. That's how they make it sound and seem. But in all reality, Sony is going to be fine. Sony is going to be fine, but they're going to be hurting. If this deal goes through, they're still going to be hurting, but they'll be okay. They'll still be around, but if they don't get Call of Duty, I don't know. I really don't know, because it's like I said it so many times before, and I'll say it again. I said, well, Sony can do this. Sony can develop something, right, that will bring in that type of cash. It's going to take years for them to develop something that's going to bring in that type of cash flow. Years, right? So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? If you're Sony right now, ask yourselves, because a lot of you guys support these corporations. So ask yourselves right now, if you are Sony right now, what do you do when you're going up against a giant like Microsoft that got all the money in the world to do whatever they want and get away with it, right? Microsoft had a crappy last generation. The biggest thing right now for Microsoft to do is stop buying all these publishers and studios and work with what you have and bring out the best in what you have, right? That's logical way of thinking, right? Now that you're not getting sucked into the nonsense that everybody else has been saying, right? Yes, I would like this deal to go through so we can get back to gaming, whether it gets blocked or not. We need to get back to what we do best. Sony needs to get back to what they do best. It's like everybody have their hands up right now. It's kind of like, bro, what is happening to gaming right now because of this freaking deal? Like, I don't even think we have ever went through a drought like this before, where both companies are scared to say the wrong thing or scared to show the wrong thing. It's like you got to be walking on eggshells. It's like, what? Are we serious right now? But it goes back to what I've always been saying. Sony cannot just rely on their exclusive games. They need more than that. That's why they have these partnerships with Square Enix, right? Like the biggest one is Square Enix. Like you need those type of third party, exclusives. Like you need those time exclusives in order to drive more sales to your hardware, right?
Jacob Novik $1. Just wondering. Some in the Xbox community think that the CMA, EU and FTC are biased, but regardless, from what I've heard, FTC believes that Jim's statement is stronger than Phil's, so why are Sony afraid to show stuff if FTC really...
You got to understand. Hold on, Jacob. Hold on. Why is because Jim Ryan had a very strong statement, right? And if this deal goes, thank you so much for the $1. If this deal goes through, right, it's going to have a negative impact on Sony, and it's going to have a negative impact on gaming, right? Because Sony basically said like, listen, like, we need Call of Duty. Like, this is not right. Like, if they get Call of Duty and all those other games that's in Activision's catalog, like that's gonna be bad for the industry, right? So Sony is like looking at it like, well, we're not gonna be able to compete on that front when it comes to Call of Duty because we have nothing. We have nothing. Sony's like, we have nothing to go up against Call of Duty, and it's true. They don't have anything right now. They don't. So what do you do? Take the 10-year deal? What do you do? Take the 10-year deal? That's the only other choice they have, is to make a deal, right? That's the only other choice. If this deal goes through, Sony has to be a yes boy to Microsoft. Does Sony want to be a yes boy to Microsoft? Or they want to stand on their own 2 feet and try to be competitive enough to say, okay, all right, this deal has gone through. We're not gonna take this deal. We're gonna develop something. But if you develop something, or if you have something, under your belt that's gonna go up against COD, like, I'm just saying, regardless of what Phil has been saying, right? Saying that basically, well, Call of Duty does not drive, people to buy consoles. Of course it does. Of course it does. People buy Call of Duty because of whatever platform they decide to play on, whether it's PlayStation or it's Xbox, whatever. Yeah, of course. Of course, Call of Duty has a big say-so on where some people play. Some people like to play on PlayStation. Some people like to play on PC. Yeah, people are going to go wherever the wind blows. And then let's say, for instance, if Call of Duty is just exclusive to Xbox, then people have no choice but to buy Xbox, because look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. So yes, it does have a say-so on where people decide to play. Like, if people want to play on whatever platform that Call of Duty is involved on, that's where it's almost like it's an exclusivity type of thing, right? And that's why more people play on PlayStation more than anything else. But let's take this up a bit further here. Again, I ask you guys, if you were Sony, what do you do? Because it's almost as if like the CMA is favoring Sony in all this. But at the same time, it just don't seem like this is going to go the way how Sony wants it to go. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Sony knows that they need something else. They don't have Call of Duty. They need something else that can garner that much attention, that can garner that much money. They need something else because they don't have anything multiplayer wise right now. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So you're gonna have to dig deep, and you're gonna have to come up with something else. What are you gonna do? Because God of War, the fastest selling PlayStation game of all time, out of a first party studio, 5.1 million in the first week. Nintendo is doubling that in 3 days. Nintendo is doubling that in 3 days. That's why I see what the Microsoft dragging Nintendo into this. Like, bro, Phil said that he is worried about Google and Amazon. Nintendo is not Amazon. If I remember correctly, didn't Phil said that, well, we're not so much worried about Sony and Nintendo. We're worried about Amazon and Google, right? But it seems like those two companies are not even really in the mix. Like, you hear a little thing here and there about them saying whatever they're saying about this deal, but they're not fighting like Sony is right now. You know what I'm saying? To not let this deal go through. Like, it's just, Sony is fighting harder, tooth and nail, trying to stop this from happening, because they realize, like, we don't have anything right now. We don't have anything that can put up the numbers of Call of Duty. We don't. Right? So Nintendo is in a league of their own. Nintendo is doing whatever they're doing. Nintendo is playing their game, and they're winning at the game that they're playing. Sony, on the other hand, Sony needs the multiplayer shooter. Sony needs the Final Fantasies, and Sony needs their first party stuff, right? They need a little bit of everything in order to stay afloat. Microsoft, on the other hand, they don't care. They can buy whatever they want, right? They can do whatever they want, because their biggest strength right now is Game Pass. Ever since Phil got in, right, after Don Matrick, and he said, well, listen, I'm taking care of Xbox. I'm going to change Xbox. And he did change Xbox forever, because that proposal to Microsoft with Game Pass changed Xbox forever, right? When is it going to stop? When is Microsoft going to stop buying studios? Probably until they hit a monopoly wall. If this deal goes through, then they're going to keep buying. They're not going to stop until they hit that monopoly wall. And then Sony is like, well, we can't play like the big dogs. We can't afford to buy all these big publishers. So we're going to do what we do best. And here's the thing. Sony themselves said that they're lagging behind Game Pass, right? They're lagging behind Game Pass because PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium is nothing compared to Game Pass with what Microsoft is offering. Microsoft is trying to offer you a foot through the door. They're trying to get you, Game Pass is the door, and Microsoft is like, turn the lock and go inside. And once you're inside, we want you to stay inside. And the reason why we want to stay inside is because we want to be the good guy of this generation. They made it very apparent that they want to be the good guy, right? Nah, we're going to make Sony look like the bad guy here. We don't care. If Sony goes under, we don't even care. Even though in hindsight, Phil is saying, well, we want Call of Duty to be on PlayStation. But you have to look at it from both sides of the spectrum. You have to look at it that way. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is really what it really boils down to. So my thing on this is Microsoft is going to keep on. If this deal goes through, the downside of this deal going through is Microsoft is going to keep on buying big publishers. They're going to keep on doing everything that they can to muscle up Game Pass, right? Against the industry, against Sony, right? Knowing that Sony games can't fit into the Game Pass model, right? It just can't, because Sony, with the way how they design their games and how they build their business model, it's around what we're seeing right now, and not have it in a subscription model, right? They can't afford to have it in a subscription. We already know this already. So what do you do if this deal goes through? What do you do as Sony? What can you do? That's the problem, guys. That's the biggest problem that we're facing right now. And because of this deal, we cannot get a PS5 showcase. I don't even know if you guys realize that right now. I don't even know if you guys are paying attention to that right now. Like, do you realize that we're not going to get potentially a PS5 showcase until June of next year? That's apparently the deadline for a PS5 showcase, right? Because it seems like Sony don't want to show anything. They can't show. It's like they want to show, but they can't show anything. I don't know. What's up, Nola? I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know what to say, man. I really don't know what to say, but guys, we might not get a showcase until then, until this deal is finally through, because I feel like Sony is in fear of, man, if we show off our hands right now on everything that we're working on for next year, this might have a negative implication on what we've been saying, right? You have to understand that. So it's like, what do we do? What do we do? You hear what Microsoft said, right? Microsoft said, well, Sony, even if this deal goes through, they got GTA. Remember that? They can work something out with Grand Theft Auto, because Microsoft knows that Sony had that in place years ago with PS2. Right? So, oh man, if this deal goes through, in other words, Sony is going to be fine. Sony can work something out with Rockstar or Take-Two or whatever. Oh, we don't care, because we got ABK. You know what I'm saying? We got Bethesda, ZeniMax and Bethesda. So we're good. You know what I mean? We're good. They can have Grand Theft Auto. We got Call of Duty. That's how Microsoft is making this seem like we don't really care. We really don't care. They can have Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto is the only game that can outdo Call of Duty any day of the week, right? But at the same time, Sony don't have that type of money to play. Sony don't have that type of money to play. That's the problem. That's the brick wall. That's the problem that we're dealing with. Sony don't have the money to play. So what do you do? What do you do? If you are Sony right now, what do you do? Keep fighting, hoping that this deal don't go through, hoping that you get Call of Duty and we can go back to gaming. And then what is Microsoft going to do? You think it's going to be, if this deal doesn't go through, you think that's it for Microsoft? No, they're going to try to find another way. But my whole thing is this: you cannot buy your way to victory. And this entire generation, all it seems like is happening is Microsoft is buying their way. They're buying their way to compete. That's the only way. That's the only way you can beat Sony, is to buy your way. Hear how that sounds. You can't just work with what you have. You can't just develop quality IPs like Sony has been doing for years and try to compete that way, pound for pound. Without Game Pass, where would Xbox be right now? A lot of you diehard Xbox fans, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real. Where would Xbox be without Game Pass? completely under. Yesterday news. Xbox wouldn't be half of what it is right now as a brand if it wasn't for Game Pass. And what Microsoft is doing is going with their biggest strength, and their biggest strength is, as a tech giant, is buying their way there. They're buying up everything. But you have to stop buying and start creating, start digging into your studios that you currently have right now and develop. We know the games are coming, but only time will tell to see the quality of these games and if people are going to be happy about these games. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you have to look at it from both sides of the spectrum. Like, you have to. You just have to, because Sony is going to keep on doing what they always been doing. And it's making top-notch single-player, high-quality games, right? They know they have a lot of work to do when it comes to PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium. So let's not fool ourselves here. But at the end of the day, see some people saying, well, Sony is buying their way. Well, every company have been buying stuff since the beginning, right? Every company. Right? Nobody is out of the hot water on this one. Okay, but Sony is buying stuff, but not on the magnitude. Sony is buying studios that make sense for PlayStation and make sense for their fans. Microsoft is just buying a bunch of stuff. They're just buying their way there. It's a difference. Are you kidding me right now? You can't be serious. You literally can't be serious. Microsoft is buying all these publishers because they're like, you know what? This is going to hurt Sony. This is going to hurt them. So we're going to keep on buying. If we keep on buying up all these third-party studios and all these third-party publishers, what do you think is going to happen to Sony? What leg does Sony have to stand on at that point? Because now they're just left with their single player games, and that is not enough. They don't put up the numbers like Nintendo does. You understand what I'm saying? So what do you do? What do you do if Sony? All Sony can do is keep fighting. That's all they can do is keep fighting. You sit down and you think about it and you're like, man, if this deal goes through, this is going to have a negative impact on PlayStation. It's going to. Because now Sony is going to have to go out of their way to either find another way, which they're already going to have to find another way. They're going to have to be creative. They're going to have to put on their innovation hat and figure it out. They're going to have to. Because if they don't get Call of Duty, then what do? Microsoft, on the other hand, they get Activision. Now, let me ask y'all this. If this deal goes through, and Microsoft gets what they want, is this going to make Microsoft a better competitor? Is this going to be making Microsoft better than they were before with this Activision Blizzard deal? Ask yourselves that. Is this going to make Microsoft better in terms of the quality of the games that we've been waiting for so long? Is this going to make this a better Xbox? Microsoft getting this deal to go through, is this going to make it a better Xbox? Is this going to match Sony as far as quality goes? Because all Microsoft is doing is buying, right? They're buying. They're feeding Game Pass. So ask yourselves that before you come at me sideways. Nobody is defending anybody here, but you have to look at the playing field. Put on your business hats and realize what the heck is going on. Put down the fanboy cap and put on your business hat. Put on your gamer hat. Is this going to make Microsoft better if this deal goes through? Ask yourselves that. That's what you need to be doing. Because at the end of the day, Microsoft get to 100 million subscribers with Game Pass. Okay, who are they competing with at that point? Right? Because Sony knows that, man, this deal goes through. Like a lot more people are going to subscribe to Game Pass, knowing that Call of Duty, Microsoft owns Call of Duty, right? Knowing that all these other games are tied to their ecosystem. Oh, yes. And Sony is concerned about that. Oh, yes. So that's just the way it is. We have to realize that. No, Vital Drip, I'm not mad, bro. I'm just passionate. You of all people, you've been here since 2020, right? You should already know how I get down. I'm very passionate about what I talk about. So there's nothing to be mad about. It's that when I get passionate, I talk passionately. There's nothing to be mad about because this is not benefit me one way or the other. So you of all people should know that. Okay? Now, we're living in a world where money talks at the end of the day. Money talks at the end of the day. Right? And we're seeing like, well, Sony couldn't buy Activision because believe me, if they could have, trust me, if Sony could buy Activision, oh man, that would have done deal. If they could buy Call of Duty, done deal. But they don't have the money. They don't have that type of money. They don't have $69 billion to throw up. So what do you do? What do you do? If you are Sony right now, I'm telling you, it's going to get to the point where Sony is backed into the corner. Sony is backed into the corner. Now you hear what Sony said? Battlefield can't touch Call of Duty. No, it can't. It can't put up the numbers of Call of Duty. It's not on the level of Call of Duty. And that is true. That is so true. Right? You got to give Jim Ryan a little bit of credit here. Because he's like, listen, people don't understand. Like, if this deal goes through, not only Sony is going to lose their footing as far as Call of Duty is concerned, as far as the dominance that PlayStation had over the years with more players playing on their platform, all these other potential games as well. And people deciding where they're going to play. Because it can't just be the single player games. And if Microsoft keeps on going around and buying up big publishers, what's going to happen to the industry? Everybody's going to be looking towards Microsoft. And the problem with Microsoft is they struggle in the quality department. The biggest problem here is the quality of the games. That's the biggest problem, man, is the quality of their games. The biggest problem is the quality of their games. That's why, how do they just dunk on themselves saying that, well, PlayStation got the better games? You don't come out saying that. Are you crazy? You don't come out saying, oh, well, PlayStation got the better games than us, even though it's pretty obvious. Right? It's pretty obvious, but don't come out publicly. Oh, yeah, PlayStation got the better exclusives and they got the better games. And yeah, our games are trash. You're dunking on yourself. You basically just trying to be the good guy here. Like, you just dunking on your games. Like, bro, no. Even though it might be apparent, but still don't admit that that's the case. You know, don't publicly write something like that and put it out there to the press. Because, you know, a lot of these fanboys, that's what they want. They want that to toot their own horn. See, I told y'all, PlayStation games is better. And Microsoft is admitting it. I told y'all. Here they coming out. Excited. Woo! See, I told y'all. Nah, bro. Nah. It's not about console wars. It's not about which game is better than the next game. It's about what you want as a player. You know what I mean? What are you most happy about? Right? That's what it really boils down to at the end of the day. Sony's biggest strength right now is their exclusive games and the partnerships that they have with all these different studios, with all these different publishers that they have, right? That's their biggest strength right now. And they know what Call of Duty can do for their platform. And that's why they're fighting right now. And I really can't. you know, part of me is saying like, Sony, you just need to make your own Call of Duty game, or you need to develop something that can garnish the number that Call of Duty is doing. But on the other hand, I'm like, that's going to take years for them to innovate something or come up with something strong enough. It's going to take years for them to do that. So what do? Take the deal, right? Or stop the deal from happening. If the deal doesn't go through, stop the deal from happening. I don't know what else to say, but it obviously has a negative impact on us gamers, right? Sony is saying, well, 10 years not long enough. Let's do 15 years, right? 15 years. 15 years is what we're going to go with. We want 15 years. That's what we want. We want 20 years. But where do you see Call of Duty the next 20 years from now? The next 15 years from now? Is Call of Duty even going to exist then? Or is it going to be something completely different then? Right? Guys, we have to ask ourselves that. We have to ask ourselves that. Like where do we see things going? But I really want to also highlight the fact that, you know, this ABK deal is affecting Sony really bad. It really is, right? To the point where they can't focus on what they do best, right? And I know that the games are coming, but it's like, we want to see the games, and I'm not even hype. I'm literally, times are changing. I'm not even really as hype anymore. Like, what is there to be hype about? Yeah, we know Spider-Man 2 is coming, but we haven't seen anything on Spider-Man in about, a year? Man, this is sad. This is disrupting everything right now. Sony's next acquisition, what is it going to be? If this deal goes through, what is it going to be? What is Sony's last stand? Is it going to be EA? Like, I mean, I know they can't really financially afford EA. I mean, there would have to be scraping the barrel to get EA. And even if you get EA, is that going to be enough to go up against Microsoft? Because if you want to play the buying game with Microsoft, you're not going to win that, right? Because, okay, Microsoft is like, okay, you're going to buy EA. Okay, we're going to buy Take-Two. And then it's just going to keep on. You just, I don't think Sony should acquire anybody else. I think Sony should just work with what they got. Work with all the studios that they got. And just try to push as much as they can. They might have to change up their business model. If Game Pass gets out of hand and Microsoft, keeps on feeding Game Pass like they're doing right now, keep buying more and more stuff before they hit that monopoly wall, they're going to have to change their business model. They're going to have to change their business model, right? And as far as I'm concerned, Sony, like, they know, like, if push come to shove and they're down really bad, they're going to have to change their business model. And they don't want to put their $70 games into a subscription service. That goes against everything that Sony is about right now. But if your back is against the wall, then what do you do? Also, I want to talk about GT7 because this is very, very interesting read here, because we hear that Gran Turismo 7's boss says he's considering and looking into a PC port. So we're starting to see more and more. Obviously, we already know that Miles Morales, we got the Uncharted collection on PC. I mean, Days Gone, Horizon, Zero Dawn, God of War Ragnarok. We know that Sony said minimum 1 year for their exclusive games, right? Minimum 1 year for their single player exclusive games, right? That's what Sony said, right? So now we're hearing that, well, we have the boss of Polyphony Digital saying, listen, he's considering to put Gran Turismo 7 on PC. What? Not a surprise. I know it's a surprise for some people because it's like, okay, well, yeah, this is a first, right? But at the same time, this is his whole take on the whole situation, because Yamauchi, he basically saying like he's going to consider putting Gran Turismo 7 on PC. And likewise, all of Sony first party games are going to go to PC, right? So, yeah, exactly, Azen, exactly. And so, I think this was a part of the NVIDIA leak, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, let's dive into this one. So, quote, Gran Turismo is a very finely tuned title, he added. There are not many platforms which could run the game at 4K 60 natively. So one way that we have to look at this is that we make that possible is to narrow down the platform. It's not a very easy subject, but of course, we are looking into it and considering it. So basically what he's saying is like, as a developer, you want to narrow the platform, right? You want to definitely narrow down the platform. The less platforms you have to develop for, the better it is, right? Because that's why Sony games look the way they look. Because you can't get God of War on Xbox. You can't get God of War on, you can't get God of War on Xbox. You can't get it on Nintendo Switch, right? But you can get it on PC now, right? So the less platform you have to develop for, the better it is, because you can just focus on that said hardware and squeeze out every power and every capability as much as possible. So there you go on that one. But I do believe that Gran Turismo 7 could run on Xbox. I mean, on the Series X, right? I mean, the hardware is powerful enough to do it. So it's just kind of like, okay, well, it just matters on what do you want to do, right? But that's besides the point. He's considering it to be on PC. So I don't know what you guys think about that. But ultimately, guys, we have to figure out, we have to sit down and we have to think about what's going to happen in the future, right? I'm in the Q&A portion right now, and we might not get a showcase. We might not get a showcase until June of next year. It might be a while before we get another showcase. We might not get a showcase until this deal goes through, right? This ABK deal is affecting Sony really badly, right?
We will make our own destiny.
Thank you so much for the $5. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Geek the Sneak, with the $5. Thank you so much for being a member as well. He said that PS should focus on bringing back SOCOM, Resistance, and Killzone IPs. Now, hold on just a second on that one. You got to understand, Killzone is dead for a reason, right? Because Sony feels like, well, this is really not gonna muster up the numbers that we want. This is not gonna really drive a lot of people to buy PS5s like we want. Like, people are gonna buy PS5. There are Killzone fans out there, but there's not enough of them. SOCOM, I would think if they bring back SOCOM could, be huge, but it ain't gonna be Call of Duty huge for Sony. That's how Sony's looking at it right now. Like, they need those Call of Duty numbers. They need that marketing, that they need to be the market leader for Call of Duty. That's what they want. It's all about the money and the numbers at the end of the day that Call of Duty brings in, the revenue that Call of Duty brings in. You know what I mean? Like, none of these three games can put up those numbers that Call of Duty can put up. And that's probably the reason why we haven't seen anything about SOCOM yet, or Resistance, or maybe what Sony is going to do. Maybe their plan is to bring back those titles, right? Some way, shape, or form, and then have other games, newly developed, games like the Uncharted, what's it called? Not Uncharted, Last of Us, the Factions 2, and all the other Deviation games, and all these other multiplayer games that's being developed right now. They're probably going to have that around, SOCOM and Resistance, if they're going to bring back those titles. But if you're a Sony right now, do you want to invest time and money into those games if they're not going to really pull in the numbers, or you're going to just be innovative and develop newer IPs that could potentially garnish that type of fan base? Because it's not easy to pull those type of numbers. You know what I'm saying? But only time will tell to see if they're going to do that. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It definitely does help out. And hopefully you guys are hitting the like button, because it does help out the stream. Make sure you guys smash up the like button. All right? All right. TJ Big Money Robinson, thank you so much for the 25 months. Says, what's up, Marlon? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah, my Thanksgiving was great. Spend it with family. You already know the vibes, man. Hopefully everything is great on your end, man. Thank you so much for the support. I literally just got over a nasty cold, so yeah, I'm doing a little bit better now. King Mo says, big love. Hope you had a fun Thanksgiving, champ. It's been a pleasure. My man, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hopefully everybody's doing well, man. Azen says, let's be honest, whose fault is that there are no showcase? Xbox or the company that's supposed to show you the games for their platform? Sony is doing this because they can. But here's the thing. It's like, it's almost as if, like I said earlier, Azen, you know, you have to be careful. You have to be really careful. Like, Sony don't want to come out and show off because who knows? Maybe they have new partnerships with different publishers. You know what I mean? Different time exclusive deals with other publishers, like alongside their exclusive games. And they don't really want to tip the scale as far as what the regulators are looking for right now, because, you know, Sony is trying to be that guy. Like, listen, we pleading our case and we're saying that this is bad for the industry and it's going to be bad for gamers. And this is anti-competitive and whatever else Sony's been saying, right? So they don't really want to show too much to kind of tip off the scale. Like, oh, okay, well, Sony, you're really gonna be fine. You have all these deals and everything else in motion. You're really gonna be okay. So why are you tripping about Microsoft and Call of Duty and all this? You see what I'm saying? As much as I would want them to give us a showcase right now, it's kind of like, man, it sucks because of this deal. Like, we need to get this deal out the way and focus on what's more important, right? So, hey, man, I don't know, man. I really don't know. But let's get back to the Q&A. Let's see here. Come on with your questions. Make sure you guys hit the like button. It says, very few buy a PlayStation for COD alone. They buy it for the first party exclusive. That is true. People don't buy COD for PlayStation, right? They don't. I mean, they buy it for the first party games, period, right? COD is just a bonus, right? PlayStation fans, they are seasoned to the single player first party games, right? That's what PlayStation fans know best. That's what they trained to know best since PS1, right? It's not about Call of Duty for every PlayStation fan. A lot of people, you know, buy PlayStation 5s or buy PlayStation consoles because of their exclusive, because of the Final Fantasy exclusivity and all the other publishers and so on and so forth. Like, I'm just saying, right? So you have to look at it from that perspective, man. Yeah, it's not just about, you know, Call of Duty for PlayStation fans. It's more to it than just Call of Duty, but people prefer to play Call of Duty as far as consoles goes on PlayStation more than on any other platform. So there you go. It says, even if Sony isn't first place in the market, that doesn't mean that they're exactly. Sony is going to be okay, right? If this deal goes through, man, it's not going to be looking too good, but they're going to be fine. They're going to have to find a way to bounce back. That's just how I look at it. It says Sony won't lose COD if the deal goes through. Microsoft will always keep it. But in order for that to happen, though, James, they have to accept the deal. They have to. How is it going to be on the platform if they don't accept the deal from Microsoft? They have to accept the deal, right? Because if at that point Microsoft owns the IP and Microsoft is like, okay, if you want to keep PlayStation if you want to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, this is the deal that we're offering. Jim Ryan has to accept the deal. If he doesn't accept the deal, then there you go. Azen says, in your opinion, do you think this deal is anti-competitive for Sony? It is when it comes to Call of Duty. It is, because that's their biggest thing right now. That's their biggest thing. Like, man, we need Call of Duty. You see how they stress about how this would affect them big time. Like, none of their first party games can put up the numbers that Call of Duty puts up. Like, you see how much they stress about that. So yeah, it's going to have a negative impact on Sony if this deal goes through and Jim Ryan doesn't accept the deal. Well, I mean, Sony's been working for our dollar for years. It's Microsoft that needs to work for our dollar. It's Microsoft that, you know, at the end of the day, they've been buying up all these publishers. Like buying publishers does not scream, oh my God, like Xbox is the best. The Xbox is the best place to play right now because of the value of Game Pass. That's it. That's it. They don't have the games that Sony got. So Sony's been working their behinds off for years with their exclusive games, right? For years. Their single player games for years. That's what got us hooked in. It's not just the third party, you know, third party exclusivity that they have with different companies. It's about the first party stuff for years. And Microsoft, they can't compete with that. So their thing is, we're going to keep buying. We're going to keep buying. Man, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy, but that's the reality, guys. Unfortunately, that's the reality. But I love y'all. It says the UK regulators have another case that may help Microsoft dealing with the breakup. With the whole Apple situation. We'll see. Let's see here. It says no one offers a forever contract for anything. Obviously, nobody does that because that's bad for business. Rich, what's up, man? How you doing? Nobody does that because that's going to be bad for business. Period. Nobody does that. So there you go. It says then there should be no problem with ABK deal since Sony is so innovative. Well, here's the thing. The problem is developing something that can go up against, or not even going up against, developing something that can garnish the money that they would make off of COD. That's the biggest thing, right? So can Sony do it? Yes, they can. Will Sony be okay? Yes, they'll be okay. They'll be fine. He says Microsoft would be the first one to react if PS was buying Activision. Of course, the same way they did with NVIDIA ARM deal. And then now Microsoft is using the same arguments NVIDIA was using to get the deal done. Hey, man, these companies, man, I'm telling you, these corporations, we got to understand that these are people that are running these corporations. You know what I mean? So Nintendo is not crying because Nintendo is fine. Nintendo don't need third-party games. Nintendo can survive off of their first-party games alone. That's why it's crazy to me how Microsoft is throwing Nintendo into the mix. You know what I mean? Like, they're fine. They're going to be completely fine. Look at the numbers that Pokemon is putting up. What 10 million in 3 days? That is insane. Jez, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, yeah. I'm having a blessed Sunday, man. I'm just here grinding for you guys as usual. Nothing new. You know what I mean? Same old, same old. It says, does Microsoft cartoon gameplay, Microsoft Showcase put us to sleep? Do a poll for the USA. Oh, God. You already know how that poll is. You already know what's going to happen with that poll. It says, nah, Marlon, if it was Square Enix and Capcom, Nintendo would react the same way because they do care about those more than Activision. Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. But still, like, they still can survive without it. They still can survive without Capcom or Square Enix or any other publisher because Nintendo, they can survive off of their first-party games. They can. Sony cannot. Says Sony doesn't want to have a permanent competitor. It says which this deal could establish them for the future. I mean, so basically what you're saying is like the only way Microsoft can compete with Sony is if this Activision Blizzard deal goes through. That's the only way. Nah, bro. Microsoft should be able to compete with the studios that they currently do have. Even if Microsoft said, you know what, we're not going to buy Activision. We're going to stop at Bethesda. Do you think that... Okay. Let me say this. Let me say this. Do you think that Microsoft would stand a chance to go pound for pound with Sony if this Activision Blizzard deal was not in existence? Yeah, we already know the answer to that. Okay? So you mean to tell you the only way you can compete, the only way you can be competitive is to buy publishers? Is that the only way? Come on, man. Come on, guys. Let's just stop wasting our time here. There's no way. The answer is no. You honestly think that Microsoft can touch Sony pound for pound without this Activision Blizzard deal? They can't touch Sony. They cannot. If they just had if they just had Bethesda and all the other studios that they have, now it would have been boiling down to, can you develop a high quality game? Can you can you put up the numbers, the first party numbers that Sony puts up? Can you put up those type of numbers? There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Microsoft just, it's almost as if like they're not talented enough. It's like they're not talented enough to develop something strong enough to go up against Sony. And don't listen, like, we just got to call it what it is. Why do you think Microsoft is pulling away from Gears and pulling away from the Gears, Halo, Forza narrative? That's why they're doing what they're doing. They don't want to just be classified as the shooter box. They want to be the good guy, and they want to be the ones to say, "Oh, we're for everybody." You know what I mean? We're for the players. You know what I mean? Like, we're all about value. Sony, like I said, Sony is going to have to dig, and they're going to have to dig deep, because depending on how, I'm telling you right now, this deal goes through, man, Xbox fans, Sony is going to be mad. It's going to be a whole different Sony. If this deal goes through, you understand the negative impact that's going to have on PlayStation fans if this deal goes through, and how, oh my God, and how the hammer is going to come down on PlayStation fans. Do you understand the negative impact this is going to have on the industry? And maybe more and more people might buy Xboxes because of this. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are going to be, but I am telling you, Sony is going to be like, oh, okay, now we're going to have to do something. Man, y'all better wake up. Y'all better wake up, man. Y'all better wake up. Again, what negative? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If this deal goes through, right? What is going to happen to Sony? If they can't have their way with Call of Duty, what's going to happen to Sony? How that's going to make Sony look as a publisher if this deal goes through, right? The negative impact of it is that, okay, a lot of people might say, I'm done with PlayStation, right? A lot of people might say, well, since Call of Duty is only exclusive to Xbox, since Sony don't want to take this deal, then I'm going up. That's what Sony talked about. I'm going over to Xbox. Platform adaptation, right? Like, people are going to adapt to whatever it is that's next. That's going to be, that's the negative impact that Sony is looking at right now. They're saying like, well, dang. Like, if this deal goes through and we don't take this Call of Duty deal, this is going to be bad for us. Sony themselves said it. So what do you think is going to happen? You think Sony can just keep on doing what they always been doing and still be okay? Yes, but they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to change up some stuff. They're going to have to think outside the box, because now they got Activision. And if they're not going to take Call of Duty, then what do you think is going to happen? Man, it's going to be crazy. He says, yes, with a little less money. Oh, boy. Dino, thank you so much for the $20. Thank you so much, man. That helps out the show. Thank you for the super chats. Can't stress it enough. It helps us out to keep the lights on. Thank you for the 20. I appreciate it. Biggest donation of the show. It says, how can it be a negative impact on the industry when the rest of the industry said they don't care about the deal? Only Sony cares. They're only saying that. Come on, Zoo. They're only saying, listen. They're only saying that, bro. They're only saying that, but in hindsight, if this deal goes through, listen.
We will make our own
Listen, bro.
destiny.
Listen. They're only saying that just because. But the reality here is, if this deal goes through, a lot of those people are going to probably go somewhere else, right? Because of Call of Duty. Because of maybe the other Activision catalog of games that appeals to them. They're going to go somewhere else, right? The diehard Sony fans are going to be here, but they're going to be like, okay, Sony, what are you going to do now? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to, but Sony needs to find a way. Like, what are they going to do if this deal goes through? It's definitely going to have a negative impact on Sony. So it's going to have a negative, Sony is a part of the industry, right? So it's going to have a negative impact on Sony. Sony themselves said it. Like, none of their first party games can put up the numbers of COD. So what do you do if you're Sony? Now your back is against the wall. Now Microsoft is going to be forcing Sony's hand if this deal goes through. So yes, it's going to have a negative impact on the industry. Come on, guys. Come on. I'm tired of this ABK deal. Thank you so much, Popeye. I'm tired of this ABK deal. I want this deal to be over with, whether it's going to be going through or stopped, whatever. I just need it to be over with so that we could get back to what we do best. Sony can get back on their regular schedule, because it don't even seem like we're getting any type of event anytime soon. I don't even know if you guys realize that. Don't you guys realize that, bro? Man, y'all don't even realize. Y'all don't even realize, bro. It says not on the industry, on Sony. Okay. When I say the industry, I mean, you got to understand, this deal goes through. Microsoft is having their way with what they want to do with Call of Duty. They're having their way with what they want to do with all the catalogs of games that they own. And you used to play this at XY platform. Now you can't play it anymore. Then what? Right? Then what? Now you're forced to buy their products. You're forced to sign up for Game Pass. You're for whatever the case may be, right? So what's going to happen? You're going to jump ship. You're going to be like, you know what? Forget PlayStation. You know what I mean? Forget Nintendo, because Microsoft is the way to go. I don't know, man. I don't know. But everybody has their own interpretation on what they think is negative or not. Right? But Sony, it's not going to be looking too good for Sony if this deal goes through, because Sony has stressed time and time again, listen, if this deal goes through, man, the way how they sound defeated, like we're not going to be okay. I don't even know if y'all realize it. I really don't know. But whether or not Sony's are going to have to find a way, they're going to be okay. The key word, okay. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be okay. They're going to have to figure something out. They're going to have to go to plan B. Their hands are going to be forced. I'm just saying. Do y'all want Microsoft to rule the whole industry? Some of y'all talking crazy right now. Do y'all want Microsoft to rule the whole entire industry, buy up every single publisher, and just rule the entire industry, and then at the end of the day, they buy up all these studios and all these publishers, and we still don't get the quality games that we want, because that's an area where they struggle in the most? Is that what we want? We want Microsoft to be the end-all, be-all platform for every single thing? Is that what we want? Forget about Nintendo. Forget about Sony. No, Microsoft. Yeah, keep on doing what you're doing, Microsoft. Buy up everything. Is that what we want? So you think that it's not going to have a negative impact on the industry If Microsoft keep doing what they doing and buying up all these big publishers and taking away all these third-party publishers and all these third-party exclusivities, like I'm just saying, after the exclusivity is done, then it's up for grabs to go on another platform. Is that what y'all want? Yes, if we're saving money. How are we saving money? Please tell me how we're saving money, because if Microsoft dominate this entire industry, this entire console gaming industry right now, do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? If Microsoft wins this entire generation merely off of buying up publishers, do you know what that means for the industry? Everything is going to go to what? A subscription model. An all digital future. The future that you guys don't even want. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Is it? Do y'all want an all subscription future? Do y'all want an all subscription digital future? Digital games only? Is that what y'all want? Let's be real here. Because some of y'all don't even realize what the heck y'all saying. Is that what y'all want? Games going in and out of a subscription service? Because that's what Microsoft is doing. Saving money. You're not going to save no money because Game Pass is going to go up in price. You hear what Phil was saying? It's going to go up in price. Everything is going to go up in price. So how are you going to save money? Everything is going to jack up in price. Not only that, these games, besides the first party games, like they're not, all the games that are tied into the service is not going to last forever. You see how often these games go in and out of these subscription services. Is that what we want? An all digital future? Because that's what we're saying with Game Pass and these subscription models. When the numbers go higher and higher and higher to these companies, ding, 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 ding. Let's keep on pouring in. Let's keep on pouring into the all digital future. Right? So if one company is just skyrocketing with a subscription model, that's the way the industry is going to go. Because now Sony's hand is going to be forced. Sony's hand is going to be forced to go that route. Because otherwise they're not going to be able to compete. You understand? Is that what we really want? Is that what we really want? We want Microsoft to win with this type of model that they're doing with buying. Listen, I want Microsoft to be competitive to Sony, but remember, Microsoft said that you're not done yet buying up publishers. Do we want to continue to deal with this every so often? Another big acquisition happened again. Now we're at a roadblock. Now we're in the same gaming is stagnant because of a big deal. Is that what we want? Or we want Microsoft to be satisfied after this ABK deal and dig in and start developing and start being creative and start putting out some really high quality games to blow us all away so that we can say the X is back. Come on, guys. Y'all gotta listen to me, man. Y'all gotta understand, like, you got to understand what you're rooting for here. You got to understand what you're rooting for here. You really want to go there? You really want an all digital future? You really want to keep on hyping up Microsoft and Game Pass, right? And have them to keep on buying more publishers to feed into Game Pass? And then y'all crying about, I'm tired of digital games. And these collector's edition ain't got no physical copies in there. Right? That's because the numbers, Brand. And I'm telling you, by the time Microsoft get to 100 million subscribers in Game Pass, you know what the shift is going to be, baby. I'm just saying. I don't know what else to say. It says we probably would have seen more PS first party games for the next year if this deal never happened. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. He says, okay, Marlon, we will hype up PlayStation. Man, listen. Yeah. All digital future is coming whether we like it or not. But I'm just saying right now, like, a lot of you guys speak against subscription services. Sony do the subscription service, but they don't do it with their first party games, right? They don't do it with their first party games because it doesn't work with their business model, right? Microsoft, on the other hand, they don't care. They got money to lose. They don't care. So they throw in all their first party games to hook you in to get. Remember we talked about the opening up the opening of the door, right? Opening up the door to get in. Game Pass is the gateway of the future. Game Pass is the long haul for Microsoft, right? That's what Microsoft wants. They want Game Pass to be sustainable, profitable, all of that, which we hearing all these things now from them, right? Saying that it's profitable or whatever. So I listen, man. Listen, bro. I don't want our industry to turn in just a subscription model. I really don't want it to be that way. Honestly, as much as I say Game Pass is good value and things of that nature for gamers and such, like, in terms of you cannot afford a $60 game up front, but you can rent it by getting this subscription model. But I don't want our industry just to be focused around subscription models. No. Like, we need to have it to where it's like, okay, certain games are just not in the subscription model. You know what I mean? And it's more for that publisher and it's more for the developer, right? Because it's like, okay, you're going to have to pay a huge upfront fee in order to entice a developer to have their games staying into that subscription model. If that makes sense. We see Microsoft pay a huge chunk of money just to entice developers to come over to Game Pass. Come on, guys. Likewise, Sony paid big bucks to get games into PlayStation Plus. Do we really want our industry to be, and most of the games that are in PlayStation Plus month to month, a lot of you guys said, oh, I don't like this game. I don't like that game. You know what I mean? Oh, this, oh, that. And these games, these third-party games cost money. They mix it in with the first-party stuff, right? Obviously, when these first-party games run their course after 6 months, a year, 2 years, right? Then we move on to the next thing. Then Sony is like, okay, well, this already ran its course as far as initial sales are concerned. So now we're going to throw it into the PlayStation Plus subscription model. They're treating PlayStation Plus as an afterthought. It's not their main focus. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. PlayStation Plus is not their main focus right now. It's not. You see what Sony is doing, right? Like, people are complaining about PlayStation Plus Premium. There's not enough classic games. There's not enough PS1. There's not enough PS2. There's not enough PS3. You know what I mean? There's not enough classic stuff. PSP, right? So it's like Sony is working on stuff, but it's not their main focus because they're thinking like, man, people don't really care so much about, these retro games as much, which people really do, right? People care about backwards compatibility, but that's not Sony's main focus. Sony's main focus is right now is like, let's just take care of these live service games. Let's keep on making movies and doing remakes, right? Let's keep on working on our first party games. Let's keep on inking more third party exclusivity games, right? That's what they're focusing on right now. And last but not least, PlayStation Plus, right? So it's like, why you think that their first party games are not into PlayStation Plus Premium day one? Where is God of War Ragnarok? Right? Day and date with PlayStation Plus as a game trial. Where is that? Where is that? Where is Last of Us Remake? Where is that? Where's Ragnarok? Where is that? Why is that not in the game trials? You have to understand that that's not their main focus. They're not trying to beef up PlayStation Plus. They're not. Yes, they reintroduced. All they did was reintroduce the same thing that we've already had with PlayStation. What's it? Now. That's it. That's it. It's the same thing. basically just rebranded PlayStation Now. It's the same exact thing. And it just added some new things here and there. That's it. Come on, guys. Why is it taking us so long to understand that? Microsoft is doing it. Microsoft is doing it. Microsoft is doing it. Right? Microsoft is doing it. Microsoft's biggest focus, their primary focus is Game Pass. And it seems as though because Game Pass is such a big focus for them, they can't even focus on the games and make the games as high quality as possible, which Hellblade 2 looks promising. Fable, we don't really know. We only saw a CGI trailer for that. Like the last showcase that we got, a lot of you guys said it was underwhelming. It was underwhelming, right? Like a lot of you guys wasn't blown away by the games. I mean, Game Pass is such a big focus for them right now. It's kind of like, well, are you guys really focusing on the games? Are you guys really beefing up the games? You know what I'm saying? Throwing that, you know what I'm saying? Like what's going on here? You know what I mean? Come on, guys. Come on. We got to understand what's going on here. We have to pay attention to what's going on here. We have to look at the narrative that's going on here. It says Game Pass, when you want to buy a game, you save 30%. It's a win-win. Game Pass doesn't stop you from buying games. Well, hold up. Hold on. When was the last time we see Microsoft throwing up numbers about any of their first-party games like that? Besides Forza Horizon, the last Forza Horizon game, right? I mean, let's be honest. You see Microsoft reporting on numbers when it comes to sales of their first party games, people going to buy because of Game Pass. A lot of people are not going into the stores to buy the physical copies of the games, of their games. So more and more people are like, well, I'm all for the all digital future. I can care less about a lot of Xbox first party games. Physical copy of their games are sitting on the shelves because of Game Pass. Some people are like, you know what? I'm lazy now. I don't feel like listen, man.
We'll make our own destiny.
Darkness, thank you so much for the support. Keep grinding, G. Hope all is well. Yeah, everything is all well. Everything is all well. Thank you so much for the $10. You laughing. Appreciate you. Listen. Game Pass makes the gamer say, you know what? Man, I used to buy physical games, but now I don't really have to. Yeah. Yo, what's going on, Benji? What's going on, man? Yo, listen, bro. Yo, did you hear about Gears of War 6? Yeah, man. Yeah, I heard about Gears of War 6. Yeah, man. Listen, bro. I can't wait to play Gears of War 6, man. But, man, you know what, man? I don't even... Wait, what? Huh? Oh, shoot. Oh, they're making Killzone again? Oh, man, that's wonderful, bro. Are you going to GameStop? Oh, that's great. Yeah, I ain't got to go out to GameStop, though. Because here's the thing. Gears 6 is tied to Game Pass. Are you kidding me? I can stay at home. You waste your gas and your time and go drive out to GameStop. Go drive out to GameStop and go get your Killzone, man. Go get your new Killzone for your PS5 because shoot, I ain't gotta go nowhere. I gotta put no mileage on my car. I ain't gotta put no wear and tear on my car. Benji, go on now. Go on about your business. I got Gear 6. It's tied forever to the subscription service, okay? What? So what if I run out of money? Well, I mean, if I run out of money, I could get the game on sale. I could get it, 30%, 40% off. I mean, I could get it a little bit cheaper then, that's the only thing I could do. You know what I'm saying? But okay, each his own. Like, listen, bro. Listen. Like, it all depends on the type of gamer you are. It literally all depends on the type of gamer you are. Are you the type of gamer that don't really care about physical games? And you're just saying, like, I don't care. I can catch it on a sale physical later on. Well, fine. Well, Game Pass is perfect for you. If you are a Sony guy, you're going to buy that physical copy. Most people buy digital stuff because Sony is the leader, the market leader right now when it comes to digital stuff, right? Digital games and all that, sales, DLC, all that stuff, right? So a lot of people buy digital stuff, but the rest of the mass of people that are diehard fans, they want that physical copy. You see the big deal that people was making with Ragnarok, right? They look at Ragnarok and they were saying, well, Ragnarok, don't have the collector's edition doesn't have a physical copy of the game. So what do you do then? Right? You're just going to have to download it digitally, or you can just go buy a physical copy. I see a lot of people bought physical copies of God of War Ragnarok. That's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. So you gotta decide. You know what I'm saying? You gotta decide.
We will make our own
You gotta
destiny.
decide. So you don't understand, John T. It's very simple. Very simple. Game Pass people that are subscribed to Game Pass are the people that are saying, okay, I don't care about the physical copy right now, right? I can wait on the physical copy, when it's on sale, because I'm getting it day one in the subscription service. Sony people, on the other hand, they have to go out there and they have an option. They can either buy it physical or they can buy it digital. But at least with Sony, more and more people care about physical stuff. You see how big of a deal people was making it out of the God of War edition, collector's edition situation, and how it's just a digital copy and not a physical copy. Like, Sony people love physical copies of their games, right? That's the thing here. And so some people love digital, some people love physical. Right? It is what it is. It's an options thing. But what I'm saying is, we have to understand, like, if we hype up these subscription services, right? And we promote Microsoft to keep buying more and more publishers in order to compete with Sony, then what are we saying? Like, we're because it's like a lot of people are saying, no, I don't want a digital future. And then you have people saying, yes, I want a digital future. So now you're stuck in between. Like, you're getting pulled in all different directions. Like, wait a minute, make up your mind. Because if you're promoting Microsoft to keep on buying publishers and to keep on, beefing up Game Pass and keep on allowing people to subscribe to Game Pass, it's going to be an all digital future, maybe quicker than we are expecting. Right? Because now Sony's hand is going to be forced into making their first party games into a subscription model. And then it's going to be an all digital future from there. And then what? Are y'all going to be happy? I don't know. Y'all decide. So there you go. He said, if I'm subscribed to Game Pass, of course I'm subscribed to Game Pass. Of course. Of course I'm subscribed to it. I never said that I'm not subscribed to it. Of course, because that's the only saving grace for Xbox right now is Game Pass. Like, I used to go out there, and case in point, I used to go out there and buy physical Xbox games. I haven't bought a physical Xbox. Actually, I haven't bought not one single, if I remember correctly, I haven't bought without one Series X game. I think everything is like Xbox One games that I have. You know what I mean? And case in point, the reason why is because of Game Pass. It's like, it's so convenient. You see what I'm saying? Okay.
We'll make our own destiny.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like it's just, because of I'm gonna get to these donations. Because of Game Pass, it's making it to where it's like, man, I don't even feel like going out there. I don't feel like going out there buying a physical copy of a game. That's why you don't see Microsoft really report on numbers like that when it comes to physical games, because everything is tied into Game Pass, right? More and more people are playing their games through Game Pass more than anything else. Think about it. Let me ask you this and then we get to the super chats. Think about this. If Game Pass did not exist, do you think that Microsoft could touch Sony when it comes to physical box sales or digital box sales with their game? Okay, let's take the subscription model. Let's equate these subscription models. Let's pull them out. Let's subtract these subscription models out of the equation for a second. Do you honestly think that Microsoft can go toe-to-toe with Sony with box sales? Let's see what y'all narrative will be then. Let's see what you know what it will boil down to? It will boil down to the games, the quality of the games. That's what it would boil down to. Microsoft, y'all don't even understand what's going on here. The wool is over our eyes. All of us, including me. The Game Pass model is all over our eyes that we can't even really see. I'm going to get to these donations. We can't even really see what's going on right now. You know what we can't see? Is where's the games, Microsoft? Where's the quality of the AAA games? We're so captivated by Game Pass is that we are forgetting. Microsoft needs to be accountable.
We will make our own destiny.
Bro. Thank y'all for the love. Thank y'all for the love. Listen.
We will make our own destiny.
Listen. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen, I'm going to get to y'all donations. I promise. I love y'all. Thank y'all for the support, for helping us keep the lights on. Listen to me now, because I'm going to talk Jamaican now, so y'all can understand. What me I say is Game Pass is the future for Microsoft. Listen to what me I say. Game Pass is so big that we now realize the games, the quality games them that Microsoft is supposed to put out, them now put them out. Instead, we are captivated by Game Pass. Everything Game Pass. And the gamers them are suffer. The gamers them have been asking for years for the quality games them, the quality AAA games them. I just Game Pass. Everything a Game Pass. What a Game Pass. What the games them there? What the AAA games them there? And what Sony been doing? What Sony been doing since the start? Putting out quality AAA game. You know, hear what Matt Booty say? Matt Booty say, listen, we have to catch up. We have to catch up to Sony. We have to do what Sony I do. We have to match them quality of the game there. That's what them need to do. Them need to continue to focus on making quality games. That's what Microsoft need to do. Me nah say them not do it, you know. But the biggest point here it is. The biggest point is that Game Pass is everywhere. Green is everywhere. And it'll take over the industry. Una nah say that. Una blind? Una nah say that. Una nah say that happen. Make una so blindfolded. Una realize what them cooperation ya do. Una see what go on. A Game Pass at the end all be all. A Game Pass at them baby. So of course them are going to take care of them baby. Una idiot. Una not understand what go on. Sure. Let me get to them a donation ya Rasta. Peter Apples. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Now, Mandingo with the $5 donation says the digital future was in the play before Game Pass, Microsoft, Netflix, Hulu, Disney, Amazon, and all the others long started the transition from physical media. That is true. Peter Apples, thank you for the $1. Darkness with the $10 says, I want both part of the future if it goes all digital. Oh, well. Hey, there you go. I guess we don't have a choice, right? Thank you so much, Darkness with the $20 says, I'm at work staying litty. I love both physical and digital. Callisto's coming. Are you buying a disc copy? Yes, for sure. For sure. I mean, if I get a review copy, then hey, you know how that goes. Larry K, thank you for the $1. And Darkness says, keep grinding. Hope all is well, G. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But you know, he said Game Pass is disrupting Sony. They have to deal with it. Hey, I'm just saying, man, Sony gonna have to find a way. They don't want to put their first party games into a subscription model. That's not what Sony is trying to do here. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to do it day and date, right? Day and date is the proper way to describe it. They don't want to do day and date. So, well, Microsoft would have to force their hand. Microsoft would have to force Sony's hand, right? They would have to force their hand to say, well, hey, well, we got Activision Blizzard now. You don't want to take Call of Duty. What is Sony going to do? They're going to have to start putting their first party games into their subscription service in order to try to even say compete with Microsoft with Game Pass, right? So there you go, man. You guys know I'm passionate about what I do, man. He says, Zeus said, no one can be mad at your passion. Hey, real talk. No one can be mad at my passion, bro. Like people think that I'm mad, but I'm not. I'm very serious when I'm talking, like, because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? When I'm wrong, when I'm right. You guys, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know that already. Like, I'm not mad or upset or anything. It's just I'm passionate when I talk, and when I get to talking, I'm talking. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys, man, on a Sunday, man. You know, I have to make y'all laugh. You know, it's so much bad stuff going on in the world right now, and the least that I can do, man, is come on here on a Sunday and bless you guys. You know what I'm saying? And make y'all laugh and spice up your day. It says, keep the grind and the accent coming. Hey, you already know, bro. You already know. You already know. It says Microsoft needs Sony to devalue their games by putting their games into a submodel. Hey, there you go. And that's what Sony don't want to do. That's what Sony don't want to do. Sony, he said good stuff. Hey, appreciate that, Swizz. Sony don't want to do that. Sony don't want to do that. So that's the thing. 5 million sales in 1 week. That is really impressive for Sony. Those are big numbers for Sony. He said the third place is forcing the market leader to do something they don't want to do. There you go. There you go. There you go. It's that subscription model, bro. That subscription model is taking over the industry, whether we like it, yes or no. Because if Game Pass is continuing to be successful, Microsoft keep on buying more and more publishers, that's what's going to happen. Nintendo might have to end up going that route too. You know what I mean? One day or someday, whenever the case may be. I mean, they don't have to, but I mean, if the industry is going that way, then they might. And you already know if Nintendo comes out with a subscription model, Nintendo fans they're going to go crazy. They're going to eat that up. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, I mean, even when Nintendo is doing bad, Nintendo fans, just like Sony fans, Nintendo and Sony fans, even when they're doing bad, it's just like, no, they're doing good. You know what I'm saying? So if Nintendo goes that subscription route, bro, like that's going to be great, right? Because it's going to do well for Nintendo. Sony as well. If Sony goes the full force subscription route, it's going to do well for Sony, right? Because here's the thing. Now they're going to get even more. The biggest problem is if they risk it and do the day and date with their exclusives, is it going to be profitable for them? The profitability of that being a success That's the only downside to it, right? Because Sony might be losing out on money because these games cost so much money to make, right? So, Dart, when I say subscription model, I'm saying like having their, similar to Game Pass, having their first party games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, like similar to Game Pass, right? Where all of those, instead of you paying $60 for their games, you can sign up. I'm not talking about their measly, underwhelming online approach that they're doing right now. Okay, they have a subscription service, but it's nothing like Game Pass, right? The online is terrible. You know what I mean? Sony's online is better. Microsoft online is better than Nintendo's online. Like, it's just, you can't communicate the same way like how you would communicate on PlayStation and Xbox. So that's just the way it is. But he said Nintendo would never do that. Exactly. I'm just saying. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You know? Magic, what's up, man? How you doing? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's just the way it is. So it said Nintendo isn't even trying. Their games are selling like hotcakes. Exactly. 10 million in 3 days. Come on, guys. Come on, man. We got to be realistic, but I love y'all, man. I love that I came on here and made you guys laugh. Whether you guys agree with me or disagree with me, you know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But hey, man, you know, the industry is never going to be the same. Like, if this deal goes through, I'm telling you, Sony's hand is going to be forced, and they're going to have to do things that they don't want to do in order to stay in the race. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't just play the first party narrative only, like the first party single player narrative only. You need more than that. That's why Sony is fighting, because if Sony was more like Nintendo, they wouldn't be fighting as much. You know, be like, okay, you can have Call of Duty. If Sony was more like Nintendo in this situation, they wouldn't be cared. They wouldn't be worried about Call of Duty. They would be like, okay, you can have COD. And you can also take all the other Activision catalog of games that you have. You get what I'm saying, guys? So if they were more like Nintendo, they wouldn't care. They would have been like, okay, well, bye. Because our games are selling 10 million, 20 million in a week's time. So we don't care, right? There you go, man. There you go. So Sony, if this deal goes through, Sony's hand is going to be forced to where they're going to have to do something that they don't want to do in order to compete directly with Microsoft with that subscription model. Because that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day. Because we know that Sony has the best games. We know that Sony have the better games. That's a fact. We know that Sony makes the best games in the world, right? Next to Nintendo. And Microsoft knows this. That's why they're buying up all these studios in hopes to garnish a solid fan base, right? That is a cult following that's going to stick to being subscribed to Game Pass, and also they can deliver the quality of the games. That's the biggest Achilles heel to Microsoft right now, is making quality games. That's it. Making the top tier AAA quality games, and only time will tell. Let's see if Microsoft have what it takes to really do both, to really have a top tier subscription service, but also match the quality of Sony. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. It says Microsoft is pulling the wool over your eyes with Game Pass. I said it before. Because the biggest thing here is what? Game Pass, right? Game Pass is over our eyes that we're not even really focusing on. Well, man, where's the games? You know, where's the games? Where's the quality AAA games, right? So we'll see what happens, though. But I love y'all. Be blessed, be easy. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, Marlon's passion is like mine for cars, New York, Knicks, and music. Hey, there you go. You already know, man. You know, everybody that is subscribed to this channel knows that I'm passionate about what I do, and I love what I do for a living. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for giving me this platform. I thank God, more importantly, for giving me this platform. And you guys are some of the best people in the world, you know, and I love y'all. I appreciate each and every one of you guys that take the time out of your day to be here today. And stay blessed, man. As we approach the end of the month, we're going to finish the month off strong. And make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the channel. Hit the subscribe button on the way out as well. And I'll see you guys possibly tomorrow. All right. I love y'all. Be blessed, be easy. And I hope you guys got some value out of the show today. I appreciate y'all. Be blessed. We out.